Hey 8th graders, happy Monday. Today we're going to work on evaluating reasoning and evidence in an argument. First, you're going to watch me model how to delineate an argument, and then you're going to practice this on your own. First off, the directions are, write a paragraph to respond to this prompt. Does Martin Luther King Jr. use sound reasoning and convincing evidence to support his claim in Letter from Birmingham Jail? Support your answer with evidence from the text. As you know already, using criteria from a text helps you to understand different ideas that you're reading, and it helps you form your own ideas. Of course, as you know from writing, evidence is signified by yellow, reasoning is a purplish pink color, and claims are in green. So we're going to continue to use those same colors in reading as well. Keep in mind as we go through, I am going to be doing the delineating the argument over over paragraphs 2, 3, and 4, but you guys are going to be using 12 and 13. So pay more attention to how I use the thinking steps rather than the specific content that I'm actually reading. Now, there are 4 basic steps that help you delineate arguments, which this is something we're going to be doing throughout this year, and it's also a skill that you're going to need next year as freshmen, so make sure you pay really close attention. The 4 steps are as followed. First, identify a claim. Second, trace the reasoning. Now, this can include reasons, explanations, comparisons, and even interpretations, but that's not the full list. For step 3, you trace evidence. This can include facts, quotations, anecdotes, examples. It can also include photographs, images, and text features, among other things. But these are going to be our main focuses for this. Step 4 is to evaluate the argument and specific claims. So there's 4 questions you ask yourself, which we'll get to in just a minute. Let's go ahead and get started and see if we can identify some claims. Again, I'm reading paragraphs 2, 3, and 4 of the letter, but you guys are going to be focusing on paragraphs 12 and 13. So let's get started. I think I should indicate why I'm here in Birmingham, since you have been influenced by the view which argues against outsiders coming in. I have the honor of serving as president of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, an organization operating in every southern state with headquarters in Atlanta, Georgia. We have some 85 affiliated, I'm not sure what that means. Let's go ahead and make a comment. And actually, look, we can define it as well. So affiliate is an officially attached or connected to an organization. So that must mean that they work with them. Let's go ahead and make a comment. Works with them. All right, now I can come back to that later if I need to. 85 affiliated organizations across the South, and one of them is the Alabama Christian Movement for Human Rights. Frequently, we share staff, educational, and financial resources with our affiliates. Several months ago, the affiliate here in Birmingham asked us to be here on call to engage in a nonviolent direct action program if such were deemed necessary. We readily consented, and when the hour came, we lived up to our promise. So I, along with several members of my staff, am here because I was invited here. I am here because I have organizational ties here. Okay, so it looks like we have quite a bit of things that could probably be clues. Let's see. I should indicate why I'm here in Birmingham. Talks about outsiders coming in. Let's go ahead and leave a comment. That could maybe be a clue, a claim. We'll go ahead and just put a C and a question mark, because that might be a claim. He serves as the president of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, and that operates in every southern state. That seems like a pretty big claim. So let's leave a comment, and then we'll also go ahead and highlight that in, that's right, green. 85 affiliated organizations across the South. One of them is Alabama Christian Movement. It looks like affiliate here in Birmingham asked us to call and engage. So that could be another claim. We'll put a C comment there. We readily consented. When the hour came, we lived up to our promise. So I, along with several members of my staff, am here because I was invited here. We'll go ahead and highlight that as well in green. All right, well, we have a couple of things. Let's go and look. Now we have to trace reasoning, including reasons, explanations, comparisons, and interpretations. All right, so starting on paragraph 3. But more basically, I'm in Birmingham because injustice is here. That sounds like a pretty good reasoning. Let's go ahead and comment on this and put an R for reasoning. And we'll come back to that in just a minute. Just as the prophets of the 8th century BC left their villages and carried their "Thus saith the Lord" far beyond the boundaries of their hometowns, and just as the Apostle Paul left his village of Tarsus and carried the gospel of Jesus Christ to the far corners of the Greco-Roman world, so am I compelled to carry the gospel of freedom beyond my own hometown. Like Paul, I must constantly respond to the Macedonian call for aid. Well, that might be a reasoning. So let's just put an R and a question mark because it might be, but we're not quite sure yet. Moreover, I am cognizant of the interrelatedness of all communities and states. I'm not entirely sure what cognizant means, so let's look at it. Definition, having knowledge of. Okay, so let's comment that. And that can help us later if we need it. So I'm cognizant of the interrelatedness of all communities and states. I cannot sit idly by in Atlanta and not be concerned about what happens in Birmingham. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. We are caught in an inescapable network of mutually tied in a single garment of destiny. Whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly. Never again can we afford to live with the narrow provincial outside agitator idea. Anyone who lives in the United States can never be considered an outsider anywhere within its bounds. Well, I remember one of them said something about quotes. Let's see here. Trace evidence, facts, quotes, anecdotes, examples. I feel like we have a couple of those in here. Let's see here. Injustice anywhere, threat. That one seems like a pretty good quote. We'll go ahead and highlight that in yellow. We're caught in an inescapable network of mutually tied to a single garment. Whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly. We'll highlight that. Those could probably be evidence. We'll go ahead and comment an E for evidence. Now, when you're in class and you have a pen and paper, you can just put an E directly above it. Of course, since we're on the computer, we'll just have to leave comments off to the side. We are caught in an inescapable network of mutually tied in a single garment of destiny. Never again can we afford to live with narrow outside agitator idea. Anyone who lives within the United States can never be considered an outsider. Let's go ahead and put a C for claim, because I remember in paragraph 2 he talks about, yep, right here, outsiders coming in. All right, let's see here. So we can go down here and answer. So the claim is that he is not an outsider. Reasonings, he was invited. An explanation, well, why was he invited? Let's see here. He's invited here. He has organizational ties. Well, how do we know he has organizational ties? let's see. So we'll say that he has organizational ties. All right, so trace evidence, facts, quotes, anecdotes. Well, I think this might actually be a fact. He's the president of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference for the Southern States. So let's change that to yellow, because that seems pretty factual to me. That's some evidence that we can prove. So we'll just add that here. So some evidence as to what he's doing. Let's see here. He's in Birmingham because there's injustice here. We'll put that as an example. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. That seems like a quote. So we'll add that here. And, well, okay, we talk about him not being an outsider. So let's go ahead and add this. Anyone who lives in the United States cannot be considered an outsider. All right, so the claim is, let's see here, the 4 questions that we need to ask ourselves that we're going to say for later. 1, how well is the claim supported? Well, let's break this down. I would say that we have several facts and pieces of evidence. So I would say it's well supported because we have a lot of evidence and facts to support the claim. So question 2, is the reasoning sound and convincing? Well, he has affiliates that invited him here, so that seems like a pretty sound reasoning to me. And then he also says he has basic organizational ties, so that's pretty convincing. These are both things that you can prove. I would say the reasoning is sound and convincing because the evidence and facts support his claim and reasoning. Okay, question 3. Is the evidence relevant and sufficient? Well, he gives us facts, he gives us examples, he explains why he's there. He talks about the invitation for his efforts to connect cities and to spread justice. This pretty well overlaps with the reasoning, so I'm going to say yes, the evidence is relevant and sufficient because it overlaps the reasoning and has sufficient amount of evidence. All right, now question 4 to ask. Is there any irrelevant evidence? Let's check real quick. I don't remember reading anything that didn't seem like it had to do with what he's talking about. I don't remember reading anything that didn't support his need to be there. All right, so for number 4, I'm going to say no, there is not any irrelevant evidence. All right, so now that you guys have watched me do this, you can go ahead and give it a try on your own. Remember, I did it on paragraphs 2, 3, and 4 for an example, but we're going to be working on paragraphs 12 and 13. Good luck, and if you need any help, definitely let us know if you have questions, and make sure you utilize the comments.